Greetings, brothers, with Armour of Contempt now here, and Storm Shield potentially taking a perceived nerf. You'll know by the end of this video just how valuable they are and what units you should really be considering taking with these new changes. So at the end of this video, my goal is that you will know whether or not it's important to still have Storm Shield in your list, and we've seen tons of debate about this because some people have felt that the new Armour of Contempt rule, which lets Space Marines remove 1 from all attacks armour penetration, means that we will no longer need the Storm Shields, the Relic Shields, and the Combat Shields, which also in turn do provide invulnerable saves. So what I've thought and looked at in this video is I've taken all the popular Storm Shield units, the ones that we've been running for the last year or so, the Vanguard Veterans, the Blade Guard Veterans, Assault Terminators, and I've taken some popular units that I guess we're going to see now without as many Storm Shields. That would be your Vanguard Veterans, your Assault Terminators with Lightning Claws, Relic or regular Terminators, Sanguinary Guard, and basically anything wearing Gravis armor, so aggressors or eradicators. Alright, so let's just start by looking at some maths, and we're going to start with basically AP 0 weapons that do 1 damage here. And what I've tried to do is, on the left hand side you've got your Storm Shield guys, on the right hand side you've got your non-Storm Shield guys. The reason the chart is offset really is because like Storm Shield Terminators line up with Relic Terminators. Vanguard Vets line up with Vanguard Vets. Obviously Blade Guard Veterans, Sanguinary Guard, I guess Gravis in all its incantations, aggressors, eradicators, and heavy intercessors. And then Death Company, they don't really have an equivalent of the other side. Now what I've also done is I've tried to do a little bit of colour coding. I guess green means they're the outright winner, orange means pretty good, and I think I've got some yellows in there as well. And obviously these slides will be available for members, so members can just instantly download these slides afterwards and take a look at them. If you aren't a channel member yet, then I appreciate it if you check out the join button underneath all of my videos. I really do appreciate everybody that has become a channel member. We're going to work our way through various different levels of AP, but if we start with AP 1, and sometimes I've used Tau weaponry because I feel like Tau are kind of the de facto best shooting force that we have to face. I know that they've just had some changes to their codex. Still, they have a lot of guns and it seemed like it would be a good comparison because we need to get across the battlefield and get to our enemies, so if we can't do that, we're not going to win the battle. Now, against AP 0 weapons, I guess Blade Guard, Terminators, both Storm Shield and Lightning Claws are just going to be the best for survivability, right? Because they have 3 wounds. So against AP 0 1 damage weapons, they are going to be the best. But notably, Sanguinary Guard, Vanguard Veterans, and actually Gravis Marines are the exact same level of survivability. I guess the reason behind that is that 2+ save doesn't get affected by any EP. So in this case, I guess the Storm Shield units kind of have the edge, but also just units that have a 2+ armor save have the edge. Gravis are actually keeping up. So AP 0, not too much changes there, right? Now, AP -1 next, and we'll use Assault Cannons. These are obviously Space Marine Assault Cannons. And AP -1, I guess, would put the Blade Guard and the Vanguard Veterans onto 3 for saving. However, both Storm Shield Terminators and Lightning Claws are still saving on 2s. So they are the winners on both sides. And I guess in this case, the Lightning Claw Terminators actually got a buff, because before they would be saving on 3s, now they're keeping up with the Storm Shield Terminators. So against AP -1, Lightning Claw Terminators got better. Sanguinary Guard also got better. You can see they now outperform basically your Storm Shield models. And Vanguard Veterans and Death Company are kind of bottom of the pile. The Gravis Marines are keeping up, I guess, in terms of their additional toughness is helping them out to be as survivable as Blade Guard Veterans and Vanguard Veterans. And I guess Gravis are an important part of our army in that, like, eradicators are quite popular, but someone's been asking me recently, do I think aggressors have a place over Blade Guard Veterans? And I guess in this case, they're exact same survivability now into -1 AP. We can keep an eye on this comparison as we go forward. But against -1 weapons now, Armour of Contempt adds value. Those Sanguinary Guard became more survivable, and both the Lightning Claw Terminators became a bit more survivable. So that's something to definitely keep in mind. Against -1 AP, Armour of Contempt does add a lot of value, and I'm going to sum all this up at the end. Now, all these numbers are actually the wounds required to kill the model. I just realised that my face is obscuring that text, but that's what we're looking at. Wounds required to kill the model. So we're not factoring any hits. Once you're hit, this is how many times the enemy needs to wound to kill the model. Okay, Cyclone Ionic Blasters, yeah, next. And they're strength 7, -2, 1 damage. And these are typically seen on the Crow. The Crow? That's Crisis Suits and Tau in the same word. It's on the Tau Crisis Suits, sorry. Blade Guard Veterans then. Against -2, they're not doing that well. We knew Storm Shield Terminators were going to do well because they're essentially in a 1-up save. And I guess those Relic Terminators ignoring -1 again are doing really well. So Terminators here, I guess probably point for point are arguably some of the most survivable units, just because, I mean, if you think of a Sanguinary Guard versus a Terminator with Lightning Claws, the Terminator with Lightning Claws is only 1 more point, and here he is 50% more survivable. That's actually pretty crazy. Against the -2, the Sanguinary Guard are doing well. I mean, they've had a buff, because before they would have been saving on a 6, or they've had a 50% buff in survivability against -2. The Gravis are keeping up again with Sanguinary Guard. Gravis are kind of performing decently here, and I guess Blade Guard with their 3 wounds are keeping up as well. But I guess it's important to note that, again, Armour of Contempt on -2 seems like pretty good value for models like the Sanguinary Guard and Gravis, and Lightning Claw Terminator is definitely taking the biggest win here. Now, -2 2-damage weapons. We've got the Blade Guard. Again, I guess they'd be moving on to their 4-up invulnerable save. Those Terminators are still saving on a 3. The Lightning Claws are still saving on a 3. At -2, the Sanguinary Guard are now moved on to a 4-up as well. Sorry, no, they're on a... As you go through, like, I was actually struggling in the games that I was playing because you have to -1 off so many things. So Sanguinary Guard would be saving on a 3, so it's reason that they're dying so quickly is the 2 damage. And Gravis are ahead now of the Sanguinary Guard against -2 damage stuff. Again, Vanguard Veterans and Death Company just seem to be poor performers, and I guess -2 on the Vanguard Vets puts them straight onto their Storm Shields, so again, they're kind of poor performers. The final -2 weapon we're looking at then is basically the high power Ion Blasters from earlier, and again, the Terminators, both sets, are really, really good against -2. Sanguinary Guard are doing reasonably decent, but I mean, half as survivable as the Terminator now. Like I said, 1 point more expensive. Gravis still holding up, and Blade Guard Veterans with their 3 wounds holding up as well. So against -2 weapons, 2+ save models are slightly ahead of where they were before. The 3 wound models have like a significant advantage here in that you can see the Terminators and the Gravis with those 3 wounds are surviving a lot better because there's some wasted damage. But it's interesting to see that Sanguinary Guard are quite a bit more survivable than Vets with the Storm Shields, and even Vets without the Storm Shields and the Death Company. I think one of the biggest winners, at least in my experience, in the mad amount of games that I've played, which is 2, playing Tau tomorrow night, but this video will come out after that game, so I'll have played 3 by then. Looking at it so far, the big winners that I'm seeing are Sanguinary Guard got quite a bit more survivable, but I think the biggest winners are probably Lightning Claw Terminators at this point. Now, Lightning Claws maybe took a hit because their low AP against Space Marines is maybe going to be a problem, or anything that gets the Armour of Contempt rule. But in terms of raw survivability, if you just want to drop something down in the middle of the board and score Oath of Moment points, which is something that I have been doing, you could do that very well with Lightning Claw Terminators. And I guess I keep calling them Lightning Claw Terminators, but this is regular Terminators with like Storm Bolters and Chain Fists if you want, Relic Terminators with Storm Bolters and Chain Fists, or Lightning Claws, and then double Lightning Claw Terminators. So basically Terminators without Storm Shields are the biggest winner here. And that's cool because I love Terminators, and there was a long time where you couldn't even feel them. And now I think basically any Terminators are good. And I'm in a difficult place with my army list where like I'm running a squad of Terminators and I really like the survivability of the Terminators. People still want to see me maybe play Death Company and go more Forlorn Fury type strategy. But my strategy usually turns out that like at the end of the game I just have this really survivable squad of Terminators doing work and just tanking up a ton of firepower. And that's what the numbers so far seem to show. But Gravis are also interesting. Like I don't run Gravis at all. Occasionally I run Eradicators. I have been running them more recently since the Dreadnoughts essentially got nerfed. Gravis look like they're in a good spot as well. So let's move on to -3 weapons. So -3 weapons would be essentially a Space Marine plasma gun, doing 2 damage a shot, right? A plasma gun on high power. So at this point, I guess this is on the AP -3. This is where your Storm Shields 4++ or 4+ invulnerable save will take over, right? Because -3 becomes -2. Anything on a 2-up save is on a 4 as well. So the Blade Guard, the Storm Shield Terminators, and the Relic Terminators are holding on just because the -3 is -2 to them, so they're holding on. The Vanguard veterans, like without storm shields, the Vanguard veterans of the Death Company, these numbers throughout this presentation have kind of proved to me so far that like dropping all your storm shields and bringing Vanguard veterans with like double lightning claws or Death Company is probably the wrong call if survivability is something you care about, because it seems like these guys just perform worst on just about every slide so far. Sanguinary Guard got a boost here because before they would be saving on 5s against -3. They're now keeping up with Storm Shield Vanguard veterans, which is decent. Those 3 wound models again are out there in the lead. Again, point for point. Terminators just being a few points more than Sanguinary Guard, being double as survivable. If you use that in games right, that can be pretty good. Again, the Gravis, surprisingly showing that additional point of toughness is kind of making up for the real lack of save, or just the 3-up save, you know? And I guess the one thing to say about Gravis is they do have that interesting strat that you can use against, against 1 damage weapons to make their save become a 2-up. So it wouldn't be, it'd be kind of situational, but you could see it in certain matchups. And then again, so I guess like Storm Shields take over in 4++ typically. I guess Terminators without Storm Shields at -3, they don't care. They're still on 4s. They're still golden. They are still strong, I guess. Remember, the one good thing about this infantry as well is all this stuff could go in cover to be even more survivable. So I think Blood Angels are in a pretty interesting spot right now, and we're just going to move on to AP -4. AP -4 definitely goes beyond Storm Shields now, right? Because -4 becomes -3. So everything that's benefited from Armour of Contempt now is kind of hurting against -4. I'm going to look at both Fusion Blasters and I think it's Tau Plasma, but I guess this is what you would expect, right? Blade Guard, basically everything with a Storm Shield is gonna take over here. I guess point for point, Vanguard veterans are probably the best against like big multiple damage weapons, because the enemy are going to waste firepower because they only have 2 wounds and they're going to do more. Sanguinary Guard not a million miles away. On -4 before they would save on 6s, now they're saving on 5s. They're only like a third less survivable than the Terminators and the Vanguard vets, which is decent. Like I said, Sanguinary Guard are a big winner here, and we're not even factoring in the fact that if this was melee, Sanguinary Guard have -1 to hit. So Sanguinary Guard are like, it was kind of funny, before the Armour of Contempt rule came out, people asked me like, how do I think they fix Sanguinary Guard? Do they give them a 2-up, 5-up that they should have? Because they're wearing Artificer armor, right? And typically the rule behind Artificer armor is that you get a 5-up invulnerable save. And I said, I don't think they're going to do that, because I didn't think they were going to do that. I thought, and I'd said in my stream, I think the way that they make Sanguinary Guard really good are they give them a 1-up save. And I guess they kind of did, right? They give them a 2-up save, but ignore -1 AP, which essentially is exactly the same thing, I would think. But yeah, so Sanguinary Guard across the board seem like a decent unit. They are still weak into -1 damage enemies, which is a whole other conversation. But I think running 2 squads of Sanguinary Guard now, and I'm running 2, a 7-man and a 6-man, I think that's actually really strong. So let's keep going. Let's look at plasma rifles, which are 3 damage flat, and the numbers are pretty much the same. Again, Sanguinary Guard seeing like they're the best of the rest. But again, Gravis. Gravis holding on. Lightning Claw Terminators holding on pretty well here as well. And yeah, I don't know if there's much else to say except the Storm Shields do have the edge against -4. And I felt like there was no point. I thought I was going to do a -5 weapon, but I guess could I have done a -5 weapon? I guess I could have done a -5 weapon in Sanguinary Guard and that would have saved on 6s, but I think it would have been the same thing. These numbers would have all gone down and these would have stayed the same, right? It would have been clear winners on the Storm Shields at -5. In summary then, AP0 Storm Shields are typically on top, unless you have a 2-up save and then you're all good, right? AP -1, Armour of Contempt is doing great work. AP -2, models on a 2-up save get a lot of benefit, but Gravis seem to perform really well too. And then on the -3, the Storm Shields sort of start taking over, and the -4 Storm Shields definitely have the edge. So my thoughts right now have been heavily influenced by some of the members of our community, one of which I want to give him a shout out. Chris Chance was actually one of the guys who said keeping mix of storm shields make it very difficult for opponents to tailor against our lists, because if they run a ton of high AP stuff, then potentially you can just take all the saves on the storm shields and kind of mess with the opponents. I had thought originally that I might drop my storm shield Terminators, my assault Terminators, which I'm running with like 3 Thunderhammer Storm Shields and 2 Lightning Claws, and take shooting Terminators. And I did try that, and I did win the game that I took the shooting Terminators in. But I think you can realistically run either now. It depends on what you want to run, you know? Like, I think Terminators with Stormbolters and Chain Fists, which is the squad that I have painted that I ran at a tournament last year, I like it. Terminators with Thunderhammers and Lightning Claws, I also like them. And unfortunately, I can't buy any Relic Terminators right now because GW, I guess, are making the plastic kits. But I think these are decent as well, and I think all the options of Terminators are good. I think the standout 2 models that really come away from this is, like, it seems like across all the slides, Sanguinary Guard were just better than Death Company and Vanguard Veterans in every way, shape, or form now. But overall, the other big surprise for me was Gravis. People have asked multiple times, people always ask about taking heavy intercessors in the backfield to hold an objective. Well, I don't do that because I run a Whirlwind, and I think the Whirlwind is super valuable there in the backfield. But I guess if you weren't running the Whirlwind, a squad of heavy intercessors in the backfield in cover are going to be crazy difficult for the enemy to shift. And I mean, even aggressors seem like they could be viable now. I don't know if there's a way to deliver aggressors, right? Like, the only way you can only transport them is a repulsor, which is a joke. So maybe you could put a squad of aggressors into strategic reserve with a view to getting some sort of charge. And that could actually be decent. They do seem like they perform well on a lot of the different numbers now. As mentioned, the Sanguinary Guard, I think, have had a huge boost. I just don't think it's the right call to run 30 of them. I'm sure someone will run 30 of them and run a tournament with them, but I personally don't think that is the right call. I think 2 squads of them is great, and then personally I'm going to run, I'm going to continue to run a squad of Vanguard Veterans with Storm Shields and Lightning Claws. I think that's a good option to have. I think they've performed well for a long time in this meta, and I think that's going to continue to be fine. And I also think a squad of Terminators, pretty much whatever you like, is going to be good, because the enemy are going to have to hit them with so much AP. I think they're going to have to hit them with -4 AP to get them onto their 5 up in vulnerable save, and if they're on a Storm Shield Terminators, then obviously they're very survivable too. So please do leave me a comment down below on what changes you might be making to your list based on the Armour of Contempt rules and how you think this affects, you know, the need to take Storm Shields. I'm more than happy to continue this conversation, and I really hope that this video is valuable to you. I would love it if you would boot that like button so it can spread to some more people, and if you are enjoying the Blood Angels content we put out every week, then please do consider subscribing, or check out the links in the video description. There are multiple ways you can help support the channel, and I do really appreciate all of them. I will catch you in the next video, guys. By the blood are we made strong. Peace.